Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. Another show happening. Raiders Daily. My name is Rodney, and my Final Four is in trouble. Kentucky's getting waxed. And that's a problem frankly, for me, because I have them in the Final Four. I also have Michigan in the Final Four, and they're about to play Auburn. So, look, it's not looking great, but at least we're all here together discussing what was a pretty eventful day. Okay, Kentucky's sneaky coming back here. Uh, a pretty eventful day for Raider Nation, for news, especially at the end of March, where sometimes it might be a little bit of a struggle. However, we're always going to be here discussing the state of the team. Whether you're watching live on Bleacher Report, you know the spiel. Make sure we're getting those comments in the live chat going. We're going to be reading them. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe. About 50% of the people that watch my videos do not subscribe. Those are called lurkers. Stop being a lurker if you're watching on YouTube. There's a lot of stuff that happened today. I do plan on, and I will get to my rankings. I have 5 NFL prospects, and I rank them 5 to 1 in order of least likely that we're going to draft to most likely. But I think these are the crop of guys that you should really pay attention to and do your research on before the draft begins. Last year, I would have put my money on Michael Penix Jr. to be our draft selection, and I said the dark horse was Brock Bowers. This year, it's a little more cut and dry, but it also makes me think that it's absolutely not cut and dry because of how cut and dry it is. So we'll get to that in a second. So we'll get to, the Devin White of it all. But there's some really big news that happened, obviously, with the Raiders. And of course, I'm talking about Hunter Renfrow. The return. Is it happening? Obviously kidding. Not going to spend too much time on this. I will say, though, it definitely is like not nothing that they're bringing Hunter Renfrow back, 29 years old. I mean, when he was with us, he was a Pro Bowler, 100 catches, 1,000 yards. The kid was good and then just fell off the face of the earth. Obviously, again, this isn't going to break the world here. This isn't going to stop time for Raiders fans or for the team. But we were talking about adding another wide receiver, and Hunter Renfrow is not somebody that I had on the bingo card. So I'm just going to push this poll out here. Again, we're not going to spend too much time on this, but as I see the results of this poll coming in, I'm going to refer to the chat here. Denote, what's up, nation? Looks like we got another linebacker that can't cover. So there's that with the little, one of my favorite emojis of all time, the little shrug emoji, the little Michael Jordan, I call him. What up, nation? Hope everyone is good tonight. What's up, me? Feeling good tonight. Just got back from my son's flag football game, 26-0 W. What position does he play? Feels like a wide receiver. I don't know why I said that. I got wide receivers on the brain. We'll talk about it in a second. Like the Devin White signing, still young, which is good. We'll draft another linebacker, and we'll get to that as well. I mean, agree. I agree with the Hunter Renfrow of it all. If he's cheap, that's fun to bring him back. He was really good with us. And, I was thinking, it's crazy. It is crazy how well John Gruden was able to utilize Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow. And then, whatever happened. He gets fired. We bring in Josh McDaniels, who has had a huge history working with tight ends and little white slot wide receivers like, Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski and Julian Edelman and Wes Welker and Chris Hogan, the lacrosse player from Penn State. And then he gets to the Raiders, and Darren Waller is like a non-factor, and he's traded. And Hunter Renfrow is out of the league. Like, you couldn't figure out how to use these guys? So, look, would it be a bit of a nostalgia hit to bring back Renfrow? No doubt about it. But it'd be fun. He's a good locker room guy to have. I'm sure Max would obviously co-sign that. And, sure, bring him in. Why not? So that's all I have to say about that. He's a wide receiver at heart, but has to play him at the QB this year. Oh, okay, I got you. He's not happy about it. So I was kind of right that he was a wide receiver in a quarterback's body. Look, if he's the best athlete on the team, which I'll say it if you're not prepared to say it, You got to put him at quarterback. I actually went to high school with CJ Dupree, the tight end for Alabama, who just almost set the record for combine reps with the at the bench press. And obviously, I grew up in a small, town in near Scranton, Pennsylvania. He was obviously the biggest guy on our team, and he played quarterback for a while until they eventually moved him to. I think he was on the defensive line as well, but then they moved him to like wide receiver, tight end. Went to Maryland, played with Talia Tagovailoa. Then he went to Alabama, played with Jalen Milrow. Hopefully, somehow he ends up being a Las Vegas Raider. That'd be sick. Great kid. Draft him. Somebody draft him. He's going to go in like probably day 3, although he had a good combine showing. That'd be sick. If he went day 2, CJ Dupree, look him up. Okay, so let's talk about Devin White because that was surprising. This feels like we didn't get Christian Ellis, so we go Devin White. Let's bring up the article here because it's interesting. Like Devin White is a name, it pops. You're like, whoa, Devin White, but he hasn't been great as of recently, although he's had some injuries that he's dealt with. So let's go into this article here on Silver and Black Pride. Shout out. You can find this article on Bleacher Report, I'm pretty sure. Raiders signed veteran linebacker. This is Bill Williamson. Devin White reunites with John Spytek in Las Vegas. The Las Vegas Raiders began the week by losing out on a potential starting linebacker, yet they are ending it by securing a veteran player at the position. Las Vegas is signing linebacker Devin White to a 1-year contract. White was the number 5 overall pick in the 2018 draft. He was taken 1 pick after the Raiders selected defensive end Clelin Ferrell by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. New Las Vegas Raiders general manager John Spytek was part of the Buccaneers front office. Then, also, of course, White was a Super Bowl. White was a Super Bowl. Was in the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay with Raiders part owner. Maybe White won a Super Bowl. I don't know. Tom Brady. And then here it is right here. Jordan Schultz reporting. So it continues to say White should get a chance to start as the Raiders need to replace Divine Diablo, who signed with the Atlanta Falcons. The Raiders also saw starting linebacker Robert Spillane go to the New England Patriots. Atlanta Roberts, formerly of the Pittsburgh Steelers, was signed to a 1-year contract to replace Spillane. Last week, the Raiders signed Christian Ellis, there you go, of the Patriots to a 2-year, $13.5 million restricted free agent offer sheet. The Patriots matched it Monday, which I really didn't think was going to happen and made me a little angry. With Roberts and White signing 1-year deals, expect the Raiders to still look at the draft. We'll talk about that soon. In the early rounds for linebacker help, they also have a young linebacker core in Tommy Eichenberg, Amari Burney, and Amari Gaynor. They could all develop, especially under Pete Carroll and Patrick Graham. While White had early success with Tampa Bay, he has become a journeyman and a role player in recent seasons. White, 27, played with Houston in 2024, had 1 start in 7 games that he played. He signed a 1-year deal with Philadelphia last year, but never played there. That's insane. For his career, White has played 83 regular season games with 76 starts. He will get a chance to regain his starting status in his second stint under Spytek. While the second former Tampa Bay Buccaneers Spytek is signed to free agency, White is the second, joining Alex Kappa, who is expected to start. Okay, a lot there to unpack. And I want to hear what you guys are thinking about this in the comment section. Devin White is, at this point in his career, like the article said, a journeyman. I can't believe that he signed with the Eagles and didn't play a single snap. That's pretty hard for me to believe. It's probably a combination of Devin White isn't the player that he once was, and the Philadelphia Eagles just have a really good defense, and it's hard to play, role players when you have a really good defense and you got guys like, what was that guy's name? Bond or Zach Bond or whatever his name was. That was like a safety who was on the scrap heap, and they grabbed him, and now he's like an all-pro, one of the best linebackers in the league. This signing usually wouldn't move the needle for me. I would say the positive spin on it is you got a guy who's still young, who's got a lot of talent, and you have a team that's uniquely equipped to be able to work with guys like this, to be able to maybe sneaky resurrect their career. Patrick Graham has been able to get the best out of, Charles Snowden or Caleb Chason, right? He was able to continue to put together a consistent defense after guys like Merrick and Crosby and Diablo and, Kuntz and Christian Wilkins all got hurt last season. So bringing in a guy like Devin White, who obviously can't cover, we still need to figure that position out in terms of finding a cover linebacker, right? Bringing in a guy like Devin White, who needs to be coached up. Patrick Graham is equipped to do that. And Pete Carroll is probably the best version of somebody who can get the most out of a Devin White in the National Football League. So, look, I'm going to throw this out here, and I want to hear your thoughts. I'm going to read the chat here. Let's see. Is he an upgrade over Diablo? Absolutely, yes. He is so. That's why we have to look at that signing this way. I mean, I don't know if he's an upgrade. Look, the hate on Diablo feels, I don't know, like a little revisionist history. Like, Diablo wasn't terrible. And you have to also understand with Diablo, he was a third round pick, right? It wasn't like this guy was drafted like 10 overall and didn't live up to his potential. Where Diablo was drafted, he kind of played as good as I thought he should. Like, same with Malcolm Kuntz. Like, Malcolm Kuntz was a third round pick. Gave you 8.5 sacks that one year. It's like, okay, for a third rounder, you're starting to make a decent impact. Hopefully, White can grow and learn here. And Renfrow is a great to take a cheap flyer on. Can't hurt. I don't disagree. None of these signings can hurt us. They can only help. I can see P and our coaching staff getting the most out of him. And that's the key here. Is Devin White like this crazy signing? No, he's not. But he's a name. He at one point was a sneaky all-pro. I think he was second team all-pro. And he's somebody that, again, Pete Carroll and Patrick Graham can get their hands on and play him the way he needs to be played, put him in the right position. Now, the linebacking unit of the Raiders right now, it's Devin White, Landon Roberts, Eichenberg, Gaynor, Burney. It's not moving the needle for me, to be completely honest with you. I do think we're going to hit that position hard in the draft as well. And, speaking of the draft, let's get into it. Okay, nobody's indifferent or hates this signing, and I think I like it. I'm between I'm indifferent and I like it. Again, it's cheap. Him and if they bring Renfrow in, cheap. Take a flyer on these guys who were once really good, and see if you can have Chip Kelly get the most out of Renfrow. I've seen, and Renfrow isn't signed yet. Just assuming that he does. I don't know if he's going to or not. He already visited with the Panthers. Have Patrick Graham and Patrick Graham and Pete Carroll get the most out of Devin White and see what he can do. And if he doesn't work out, then cut him. It doesn't matter. It's not like you're paying this premium for Devin White. It's $3 million, whatever it is. Change of scenery and him getting healthy. I could see him being good for us this year. Hey, it's only a 1-year deal. And he is better than Diablo. Okay. You think he's better than Diablo? I'd rather, and they obviously wanted Ellis, excuse me. But they didn't get him, and we moved on quick. We have a plan. Absolutely. Look, Matthew Stafford was our number one option. Didn't work out. Instantly got Geno Smith. Christian Ellis was our number one option to replace Devin Diablo. Didn't work out. Instantly got Devin White. These guys in the front office clearly have a plan in place, and that's important. Again, we're getting the train back on the tracks, okay? So look, we talked about free agency a lot. Let's get into the draft here, and this is going to be fun. I'm going to go 5-1. We're going to spend a little on each prospect. I've got 3 player profiles pulled up here. I'm not going to read the other 2 because we've talked about a lot, or I'm not going to read some of these because we've talked about these players until we're blue in the face. We're beating a dead horse with a lot of these guys. You probably can guess who my number 1 is. Probably can guess maybe one more player on this list. It's not going to be the conventional list, okay? So let's talk about number 5 really fast. We'll just get this out of the way. My 5th most likely pick for the Raiders at 6 overall. It still is Shedeur Sanders. Look, he's not in my top 3. He's not even in my top 4. But if they really like him, if Tom Brady has enough influence, I think there's a chance that at 6 overall, if all these guys are gone and they can't trade back and they don't want to take a running back at 6, they say, you know what, screw it. Let's take Shedeur Sanders. Let's stash him for 2 years, 2.5 years. He can learn under Geno, and maybe we have the next great franchise quarterback. It just depends. If you love him, he's a top 10 pick. If you don't like him, he's a day 2 guy. I'm not going to spend too much time on Shedeur. I think his ceiling is Joe Burrow. I think his floor is like, I don't know, Trevor Simeon. Like he's an accurate pocket passer who can move in the pocket. He's not a great athlete, doesn't have a great arm. Like he can go all the way up and down the spectrum. Like Mac Jones had a high floor, but then he never got any better. So Shador is one of those guys where he can come in and contribute right away, like a Bo Nix. But can he ever reach that like Joe Burrow, like killer instinct, like this guy's gonna win in Arrowhead in the playoffs kind of level? I don't know. So that's all I'm gonna say about Shador. He's my number 5. My number 4, I have a player profile on. And some people have him listed as a defensive end. Some people have him listed as a linebacker. I think that's key here. My number 4 most likely selection at number 6 is Jalen Walker. Now, I believe this scouting report is from January 6th. Let's see here. It doesn't say. But this is, before the combine, I believe. Jalen Walker is somebody who's rising fast on all the mock drafts, the draft boards. He is right now in this article listed as a linebacker. Some teams have him listed as an edge. Only time will tell where he plays if he gets drafted by us, but he's 6'2, 245. Positives. Good size and frame for an NFL linebacker with impressive movement skills as well. He's a versatile defender, has been used as an edge rusher, as well as an off the ball linebacker. Let me just stop right there and discuss this. We need guys. Ooh. Expansion talks expected to intensify this week as teams are looking to play 18 games. We might have an 18-game season next year. Interesting. We can maybe talk about that at the end of this. The versatility of a Jalen Walker, I think, is something that Pete Carroll salivates over. A guy that he can put at, middle linebacker, outside linebacker, in the middle of the defensive line, on the edge. He can cover guys. This guy right here, I'm just telling you, we didn't address the linebacker position as much as I thought we would and as much as they probably wanted to in free agency. So Jalen Walker, Georgia player, the most recent few Georgia, draft picks have hit because they are the best of the best, right? He has the speed and athleticism to be effective in man coverage against running backs and tight ends. We do not have that cover linebacker yet on the roster. I do think there's a world in which Jalen Walker, right? Is that his name? Yes, could be that guy. Against the run, he takes on blocks with good hands, good knee bend, and a sturdy base. All right, so let's see a couple of negatives. Inexperience overall. Didn't make his first college start until the past season and was primarily used as a third down edge rusher his first 2 seasons at Georgia. Lacks experience playing off the ball linebacker. Shows up in his instincts against the run. Will be late to pick up his man when pattern matching and coverage. Takes on blocks from offensive linemen square instead of getting on the edge, which leads to him getting stuck on blocks. Okay, all of that stuff feels like he just needs to be coached up, right? And I think, again, we are uniquely equipped to coach up these guys. Overall, Jalen Walker is becoming one of the most interesting draft prospects in this year's class, primarily because he played a few different positions in college. He reminds me of Isaiah Simmons, Clemson, if you remember him. And his best spot at the next level is a bit of a question. As an off-the-ball linebacker, Walker's speed and athleticism gives him plenty of potential to be good in coverage. He has the change of direction to stay in phase against tight ends and running backs on choice routes in man coverage. While playing zone, he shows decent eye discipline for someone new to the position that NFL coaching staffs can work with. I think that's decent. 8.0 grade, 21st overall, linebacker 1. Kyle Van Noy is his comp. Again, this is before the combine, so people have him going a little bit higher now. So what are you guys' thoughts on Jalen Walker? I think it's telling that they went out and re-signed Adam Butler. They already have Christian Wilkins on the roster. So I don't think they're going to go D-tackle here. Not to spoil whether or not Mason Graham is on my list, but let's just do this right here. Jalen Walker. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to send out a poll. Like it. Hate it, because I'm really interested to see how you guys feel about this. I just think you got to keep in mind what we need to address. And by the way, this is I'm not predicting whether or not we're gonna trade back or not. I'm just saying, like, who are we gonna take at 6? Okay, somebody hates it. Tell me why. We don't have 32 competent quarterbacks. Definitely not going to find more. No doubt about it. Those flaws are mainly technique based and can be coached up. I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all, which is why I think, again, Georgia, blue chip player, versatile, can play on the edge. He's fast. He can cover. I think it's like a Khalil Mack. Like at this time last year, or at this time last year in 2014, Khalil Mack started to rise up the boards, and people were like, "Who is this guy coming out of Buffalo?" I think Jalen Walker. I'm just saying, Georgia, born and bred. Like this guy is an elite prospect. And Pete Carroll is probably again salivating at the idea of getting somebody like him. You guys hate it? Okay. All right. Enough said. Jalen Walker, he's my number 4. And by the way, this is not like who I would take at 6, although I would consider Jalen Walker at 6. I'm just making predictions based off of what I've been hearing mock draft wise, how we address certain positions in free agency. Okay, my number 3, I don't have a player profile on this guy because we know everything we need to know about him. Now, this might be a little bit of a hot take. This might be maybe wishful thinking. I don't know. I think there's a world in which, do I really believe this? I do. Travis Hunter finds his way into Las Vegas. Now, hear me out for just 1 second. This is going to be a very specific prediction based off of how, things fall in the draft. Last year, I said if there's a run on linemen, quarterbacks, and 2 wide receivers, Brock Bowers can be there at 13. So if we go down the list of teams picking ahead of us, this is how it would have to go for Travis Hunter to be there. Number 1, quarterback, Cam Ward or Shador, doesn't matter. Number 2, Cleveland Browns, Abdul Carter, right? Number 3, Giants, Shador Sanders. Or number 2 is, oh no, that's exactly how it'd have to go. So it'd have to go Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, Shador Sanders. Then you have the Patriots. Now, the Patriots most likely take Travis Hunter, or they take a tackle, right? There's 2 tackles that are projected to go in the top 10. The LSU guy and the Oregon guy, I think. One of these 2 could go to New England if they want to protect Drake May at all costs. And then Mason Graham goes to Jacksonville. All of a sudden, the Raiders are sitting there, right? At number 6, and Travis Hunter is there. And you draft Travis Hunter, no doubt about it. If it's between Genty and Travis Hunter, I'm going Travis Hunter all day, twice on Sunday. I don't disagree with you that the team that takes Hunter is the Patriots. I'm just saying there is a world like that breakdown I just gave you of the first 5 picks. That's not out of the realm of possibility. That could happen. And if that happens, we can get what some people are calling the next version of Charles Woodson. Daniel Jeremiah, who's my most trusted mock drafter, went on Rich Eisen and said the best corner in this draft is Travis Hunter, and the best wide receiver in this draft is Travis Hunter. I just think there's a world. I've seen some people mocking Graham to the Jaguars and some people mocking a tackle to the Patriots. If both of those collide, Travis Hunter falls into our lap. He's my number 3. Odiji says Jalen Walker is the most overrated prospect in the draft. Maybe, but we'll see how the Raiders, evaluate that position and him in particular. If the Pats don't take him, the Jags will. Again, yeah, maybe you're not wrong there. I just think there's a world in which we can get lucky like a Brock Bowers and he can just fall right to us, right? It's no indictment on Travis Hunter. It's just about the needs and the quarterback inflation that happens all the time. So he's my number 3. My number 2, no surprise here. It's a cornerback. It is Will Johnson. Now, I don't love taking a corner at 6 because I do think Pete Carroll can find people later in the draft that can have an impact. But this guy is far and away the best corner in this draft that just plays the cornerback position. He's a big guy. He's 6'2. He's 194. Okay. Johnson has excellent length and size with a filled out frame. He plays with a patient controlled back pedal. He flashes quick, breaks with little wasted movement. Okay, we can read this until the cows come home, but let's read the overall right here. Will Johnson is a standout quarterback prospect for Michigan, bringing a rare combination of size, length, physicality to the position. Standing at 6'2", weighing 202 pounds, Johnson has the ideal frame for an NFL corner, complemented by a filled-out build that enhances his ability to compete at a high level. His performance in both man and zone coverage, his versatility, aggressive play style makes him a highly regarded prospect for the 2025 draft. 8.8 impact player, first round, overall rank 5, CB2. James Bradbury is the comp. So again, would it be ideal to take a corner at 6? I guess not. But if he comes in and he is as advertised and he plays like he did in Michigan, and Pete Carroll thinks he could be the next Richard Sherman, and he's alongside Jacorian Bennett with Jack Jones in the slot, now you're cooking with a little bit of gasoline. I just think that we didn't address the position in free agency really with any heavy hitters. Now, there weren't that many heavy hitters, but again, this is how I'm making these predictions. This is how I did this last year, right? We didn't go out and trade for a quarterback last year, so I was like, all right, we're going to draft one. There's a lot of quarterbacks to get, and I thought Michael Penix was going to be the guy to be there. The Falcons kind of ruined that. And then I was like, all right, well, we're going to need to find Davante Adams' replacement eventually, and it's going to be Brock Bowers. So I took that philosophy. What did we do in free agency last year? This is what it means for the draft this year. And I do think most likely we're going to go defense. Travis Hunter obviously is a flavor of both. Shedeur Sanders is that next franchise quarterback if they want to take him. Pete Carroll needs to build this defense up, right? We addressed the quarterback position. We're going to address the running back position. And we need to address that corner position as well. We didn't do that really at all in free agency, save for a couple guys. And I don't know if DeCamerion Richardson is going to take that next step. So a trade back or two and then take Johnson would be perfect. Yeah, I don't hate that. Injury concerns worry me. Not worried about the turf toe at all. But 2 years running, he's been hurt. Yeah, I understand. But, Michael Penix was chronically injured and the Falcons traded up to 8 to take him or whatever it was, and we were gonna take him. Like that's people told me we were taking Michael Penix. Like it just was what it was. So my number 5 is Sanders, my number 4 is Jalen Walker, my number 3 is Travis Hunter, my number 2 is Will Johnson, my number 1. We're not going to spend too much time on this, but here he is. Trade back to 12 with Dallas. They want Genty bad, and we'll give up a lot. Then we take Golden, 6 feet tall, 4.3 speed. He's going to be great. Golden, that's interesting. I don't hate Golden. My number 1 is Ashton Genty. Okay. Talked about this until we were Boise State blue in the face. He could be generational. I've seen people debating whether he is or isn't. All I know is that 2,600 yards and 30 touchdowns or whatever it was, that's a lot, right? That's a lot. And we need to address the running back room. If you're just playing Vegas odds, I think Genty is the most likely. If you go Genty with Geno Smith, I don't hate it at all. You just need to figure out what you're going to do at that wide receiver position, whether you're going to bring in a Hunter Renfrow. That doesn't really move the needle for me, but look, sometimes the easiest answer is the right answer. Don't overthink this. So my list 5-1, Sanders, if they love him, Jalen Walker, that hybrid DN linebacker combo player. Travis Hunter, if he falls, you have to take him. Will Johnson, the best corner in this draft, and then Ashton Genty. Now, I have a dark horse player that people are not mentioning us taking at 6. Maybe it's a little crazy, but again, if they don't want to take a running back at 6 and Mason Graham's gone, and they don't believe in Shedeur Sanders, right? And Abdul Carter's gone and Travis Hunter's gone. I think we need to take a wide receiver at 6. Now everyone's been saying T-Mac, 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 T-Mac. I've seen some mocks where T-Mac is the second receiver off the board. My dark horse to be drafted at 6 overall is Matthew Golden, which somebody who might be related to me just mentioned in the chat. This was January 6th. So he's since run a 4.3. We know that, a 4.3, whatever. Okay. Just hear me out. Matthew Golden, scouting report. This is the darkest of all horses for the Las Vegas Raiders at 6. Great long speed and burst off the ball to create explosive plays down the field. Separation created due to sharp and crisp route running ability. Speed modulation to keep defensive backs on their heels. Catch point competitiveness with good hand-eye coordination and body control. Okay. Let's see. Matthew Golden is an explosive and dynamic receiver with positional flexibility. There's that word again. Golden makes plays from multiple wide receiver positions, X, slot, and Z. He separates from coverage well with his innate ability to decelerate and accelerate in and out of breaks. He sells go routes on the vertical plane well to push the cornerback upfield, creating space for him to break downhill and back toward the quarterback. Golden's speed and acceleration will take the top off of any defense, generating explosive plays through the air to back safeties off and create lighter defensive fronts against the run. I mean, overall rank 18, wide receiver 2, 8.0, year 1 starter, pro comparison, Santana Moss. I've seen a lot of mocks that have Golden now ahead of T-Mac after the combine and the pro day. And I see people saying, I don't want T-Mac. Another position we have yet to address as of March 28th, 2025 is the wide receiver position. I'm not saying it's likely that we draft Golden at 6, but there is a world where, like the person in the chat who has the same name as me said, trade back with somebody who's desperate for a Shedeur Sanders or a Genty. You take Golden, who can fly, who's a big, strong body. I like the name. The name kind of, matters to me. If you don't like Sanders, if you don't want to take a running back at 6 and all the defensive players are gone, Matthew Golden might be the pick. So that's my list. Sanders, Walker, Hunter, Will Johnson, Ashton Genty. That's my 5-1, with the dark horse being Matthew Golden. So what say you about all that? I hate taking a running back at 6. So with so many good running back options this year, if we can trade back because we have no partners and we have to go Genty, he's a difference maker. I don't disagree with that. So we're going a little bit over on time here. That's okay because I like hanging out with you guys. I'm going to let you enjoy your Friday. Enjoy March Madness. The Pirates are winning. Hopefully they win. If you're watching on Bleach Report, thank you so much for joining me. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, hit that like button, comment away, and please be sure to subscribe. Wait! I'll be back here Thursday and Friday next week, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern. No, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. I handed it off to Momo, and please be sure to subscribe. It's free after all, no charge to you. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.